Are we on? Well, good evening, ladies. We back once again to UnRuffled Ladies. We just want to welcome you again today. Just wanted to tell you a few things about me. Of course, I'm Dr. Jeana, the co-host, the host of the UnRuffled Ladies. We are on every second and fourth Sunday of the month. Uh, this is a platform, of course, that you can just, hey, be you. You know, it's so good for us to be you and tell our truth. And this is what this platform is all about. Of course, the Unruffled Ladies was birthed out of 5 o'clock prayer in the park, 5 o'clock prayer in the park. And laying on my sofa, God gave me just one word, unruffle. And I began to get up and just Google that word, unruffle. And unruffle means to be confident, to be at ease, and to be balanced. So we just want to welcome all of you. We just invite you to come in and be with us today. We have a great topic for you, and this is for men's and women's, talking about how to become your own boss. That's what we're going to be talking about today, how to become your own boss. So go ahead and begin to invite some of your friends and some people that may be in your downline, in your contact, to be a part of the Unruffled Ladies this evening. And of course, if you have any question, we want to just invite you to chat with us this evening. Chat with us this evening. Give us your question. Give us your answer. We have a great entrepreneur on the line with us, Toni Young. So excited to have her with us on today. Of course, she's uh, her own boss. I just love that. I just love the sound of that. Being your own boss is so important, you know, especially we as women's have kind of been on the down low for so long, you know, but now we have God have given us the opportunity to be on top. And so it's I know that some people you think this, hey, me just going to work, working 8 to 5, that's enough for me. But it's so much more that God intended for you to have here in the earth and becoming your own boss. You get to explore a lot of things for money, just a lot of things. And so, once again, we want to invite Toni Young. We just lost Rosalind, which is one of the co-hosts. And of course, uh, Alicia Harris.
I can't hear you guys. I can't hear anything.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you too. I couldn't hear Lady Jeana at first. Lady Jeana, can you hear us? She's not hearing us.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Can't hear you. Bear
That's
with us,
amazing.
guys.
Hmm.
So at first, I could hear Lady Jeana, but then I lost everyone. But I can hear you clearly, Toni. So I believe Lady Jeana's going to log off and come back on. There she
Lady
is.
Jeana, can we hear you? Can you hear us? We cannot hear you at all.
Bear with us, everyone. We are at the mercy of technology here, but we're going to get it right. Okay. This is UnRuffled Ladies Live. We are trying to get our technology going here. We're having some sound difficulty. I'm sure we all understand that and have experienced it at some point in time. But y'all, if there's let us know if you can hear us, okay, audience. Give us a response, in the chat to let us know if you can hear me. I was thinking maybe I had her muted out, but I don't. Can you still hear me, Toni?
Yes.
Okay. And everyone, if you've left a response in the chat, if you can hear me clearly, we're still waiting for the audio to come through with Lady Jeana. And I just wanted to remind you, ladies, with UnRuffled Ladies, this is something that we're doing now. It's kind of new, this, Facebook Live, YouTube, and all of that. But we've been really, really blessed and got some wonderful responses. All this took place, of course, during the pandemic. And we still had to find a way to get to our audience because we know how very, very important that this is. And when this was birthed by our founder, Lady Jeana, it was at 5 o'clock in the morning at Oster Creek Park on Highway 6 South. And we had a couple of ladies out there. We began in prayer, and from there we left and went to painting with a twist, and we all painted cups that represented that time of the beginning of UnRuffled Ladies to simply acknowledge that our cup is overflowing. And into this very day, I still have my painting of my cup hanging up in the kitchen. But let me just share with you real quickly what our vision was for UnRuffled Ladies. And it was to develop women of influence who will extend God's kingdom all over the earth. And we had some goals in mind, which included to help women find their peace that produces their outer glow. Don't y'all know that every woman is beautiful? Every last woman that God created is beautiful, and they are fearfully and wonderfully made in their own essence. And then you have our mission. Our mission is to bring like-minded women together from all over the nation to empower the unruffled and the greatness within. So that's what we are doing here today. And I believe I hear the audio of Lady Jeana coming in. Don't see a picture yet, but they're working on it. And that's why up until now, the pandemic, technology, nothing's going to stop us. We're not going to be discouraged. We're still going to be here every second Sunday, every second and fourth Sunday. And that's what we'd just like to share with you guys. There's going to be things that happen that come into our lives that discourage us. But guess what? We're greater. We are greater than any discouragement that can come. And I'm so glad to have Toni here with us today because she's going to be sharing some things with us, how we can get into that mind frame that puts you in a even greater position to be a leader, to be your own boss, you know, and to give you that encouragement that you're no different from her, that once you have a made up mind that you're going to be your own boss, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I'm so glad that she's here with us today. We're still working to get Lady Jeana online. And I just want to say welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for taking your time out of the day to come and visit with us. And Toni, once again, our topic for today is...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Our topic for today is becoming your own boss. And we're going to actually link up and merge becoming your own boss with personal development. So this is an exciting topic that I'm excited to explore with each of you today.
That's wonderful. I'm excited about it too, Toni, because I have a few questions myself. You know, there's some things I put on the back burner I've been wanting to do for a while. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you, Toni, and those of you who are listening. I know the number one culprit was fear.
Yes.
Fear of failing.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That was the number one culprit.
And fear is very gripping. It's one of those, it's something that you have to have strong emotional intelligence to deal with, if that
Yes.
makes sense. And so fear of failure is something that, you really have to become intentional about. You have to become very purposeful about. And so one of the things that I've done in my entrepreneurial career is I've embraced my failures. I welcome failure. Because failures pushes me, they push me one step closer to my success. Because once you get into entrepreneurship, failure just becomes inevitable. It becomes a part of the process. It becomes a part of the equation, right? And what I mean by that is I don't mean an entire business fails every day or every year. What I'm saying is you're going to make some mistakes and some things you throw out there are going to work. Most things you throw out there may not work, right? Well, guess what? You have to, what I consider as take action, you analyze your actions, and then you make adjustments. And so when I think failure, I think of an opportunity for me to get better, an opportunity for me to succeed, an opportunity for me to learn and then grow. Does it make sense, Sister
Yes.
Roslyn? So I embrace my failure.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I'd rather fail early, okay? And that's how I look at failure. Let's fail early, and then we want to fail forward. A lot of people don't understand what failing forward means, but I like to fail early whenever I launch into a new business endeavor, and then I like to fail forward. And so, whenever you're failing forward, you're taking opportunities to learn and grow. And so that's one of the things, that's been a bottleneck or hurdle that I was able to push over very early on in my career, because I knew that I needed, I knew I wanted to become an entrepreneur, but I knew that it's not what's going to be easy. It's going to take time, energy, effort. It's going to take a lot of failures as well. And that's what I do. I embrace my failure. My failures. I fail forward, and I use them as opportunities to grow.
So that failing forward, Toni, that's simply recognizing where the failure took place, why, and then using it to your advantage.
Well, so you take action, right? And then you analyze those actions. Okay, where was I successful? Where was I? Where did I drop the ball? Where were my failures? And then so during that, during your analysis process, you're looking at ways you can build on top of those failures and get better, right? So you take action, you analyze your actions, and then you make adjustments from there. right? And
Okay.
so that's how you fail forward. Okay. You
Okay.
don't use you don't allow your failures I would say push you backwards, or you don't use your failures as negatives. Your failures become
Hmm.
positives whenever you build on top of them.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, you know. And leadership and becoming your own boss can sometimes, um, I mean, can be something everyone can do and become, and it began with self-worth. Do you agree with that?
A
And
thousand.
believing in yourself, and willing to put in the work.
Yes.
So if one intends on becoming more and growing to their best self, uh, personal development, so to speak, is critical sometimes. So give us your beginning on how important it was for your personal development, your personal.
Yes. Good question. So when I think of personal development, right, and when
Hmm.
you think of personal development as it relates to entrepreneurship, I'm starting with number one, self awareness. Okay. Number two, resilience. Number
Hmm.
three, I'm looking at leadership, your leadership skills. And then I want to look at adaptability. Okay. And so, Sister Rosalind, my personal development journey began back in 1995, whenever I stood behind a flaming grill at Burger King as a 16-year-old, right? I was that kid that stood behind the grill and grabbed the burgers off the grill. Sometimes the grill was popping with you know, you had all sorts of grease popping and all that sort of stuff, right? That's when my
Yes.
personal development journey began. So while grabbing those burgers off the grill, I became extremely self-aware, right?
Mm,
I knew that I didn't want to flip burgers for the rest of my life. Um,
that's
and, I knew also that clocking in and clocking out made me extremely uncomfortable, right? So I
mm,
began my self awareness journey, which is a part of your personal development back in 1995, right? And so,
okay.
and then in 1997, I went off to college. I was able to pursue my mathematics degree along with a minor in computer science, right? But whenever I graduated in 2001, I knew I wanted to become a successful entrepreneur. I knew, because I knew back in my Burger King days, I didn't want to clock in and clock out, and I definitely didn't want to flip any sort of burgers. And so that's
Mm,
when my personal development journey became very intentional, became very purposeful, right? And so
okay.
yeah, absolutely. You got to take a look at yourself. You got to take a look at self-awareness. You got to take a look at resilience, look at your leadership skills, and then your ability to adapt to change. So
Okay.
that when I think of personal development and entrepreneurship, those are some of the skill sets and personal development areas that you definitely want to grow in.
Okay. That's really awesome. When you're talking about the personal development, so one shouldn't look down on where they are at the present time, but use it like you just said. You recognize that I don't want to do this. You know,
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
should, yes.
Entrepreneurship, becoming your own boss, as well as personal development is a journey. Okay.
Hmm.
It's a lifelong process. Okay.
Mm,
And sometimes people think that, personal development is something that you go and acquire. No,
mm,
personal development, you don't acquire personal development. It's a lifelong process. Why? Because you're consistently uh it's a consistent process to where you're becoming better every single day. Your skill sets, you're upskilling and your growth stacking on a day-to-day basis.
okay. Okay. So whenever we talk about development, we're looking inward,
Yes,
focusing on developing ourselves because we understand that to change the world, we must change first ourselves, you know? So you just touched on that a little bit, but how crucial is that for one to have that mindset? Not only do I want to change my life, but I want to be able to affect those around me and, people's lives as a whole. So
that's
let's
right.
talk about that looking inward,
Right.
and focusing.
So that,
Hmm.
you know what, when you're talking about looking inward, I think of this. I think of deliberate actions and efforts to become better, to become more self-aware, to become more situational aware, right? So personal development becomes very deliberate, right? When you're looking at your entire life, your skill set, your knowledge. Do you need to acquire additional knowledge to become an entrepreneur? Do you need to increase or to acquire additional skills to become an entrepreneur? Right? So it's a lifelong process of consistently getting better, consistently evolving as the economy evolves, as your particular market that you're in as an entrepreneur evolves. And then I look at resilience. As I would say, that's probably one of the toughest things that I've had to acquire, and that's resilience. Resilience is being able to bounce back from change, being able to bounce back from your failures, being able to bounce back from market conditions that wasn't necessarily, that didn't attribute to a positive cash flow, right? That resilience being, is huge in entrepreneurship. And then your leadership skills, right? When you start looking at your leadership skills, I'm talking about effective communication. Whenever you're leading folks as an entrepreneur, how well do you communicate? So you got to have very effective communication skills. You have to have conflict resolution skills, right? And then you have to just be a really good decision maker as an entrepreneur and becoming your own boss. And when you're talking about changing the world, you have to be able to make really good decisions. And then adaptability. Let me tell you, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur in my company, right? So, for instance, let me give you an example, Rosalind. Lately, in the technology world, the entire world has been talking about what? Artificial intelligence, right? We're talking about AI. We're talking about data intelligence as well. That's the wave of the future. Well, guess what? As a marketing company, I absolutely must adapt to that change. So that means that bringing in artificial intelligence as a part of my marketing funnels, right? Bringing in data intelligence as a part, whenever I acquire a client, I'm heavily, looking at their data. I'm looking at their data intelligence and figuring out ways that we can make an improvement when it comes to their conversion rates, right? So yes, when you're talking about, making changes across the world and from a personal development and an entrepreneur perspective, yes, self-awareness, resilience, leadership, adaptability, all, plays a huge part into becoming a successful entrepreneur.
That's great. Guys, I hope y'all are taking notes because Toni, I know for sure, like myself, at some point in time, we all had these big dreams.
Yes.
We all had these goals, these lists of things to do and what you want it to be and where you want it to go. We had these vision boards and all of these things to inspire us, right?
Yes.
But what Toni's talking about today is actually paying attention to what it takes to move forward on all those things. It's wonderful to have those dreams and visions and everything, but how do you put them into action? How do you get it going? So today, Toni's given us some wonderful input on just exactly how to approach that. So we know that personal development entails doing the hard work of improvement to create the best in you. So Toni, what are some of the things that you had to put in place for yourself before you became your own boss?
So that's a great question. Okay, so some of the things I had to put in place. All right, I would say the number one area of personal development, and I know some people won't even think that this is personal development, but it is. All right, the number one area is financial literacy. Okay, and what I mean by financial literacy, I'm talking about budgeting, I'm saving, forecasting. We're talking about cash flow management. Okay, something as simple as whenever you launch your business, should you set up a C Corp? Should you set up an S Corp? Should you set up an LLC? Or do you have a nonprofit organization? Is it a 501c? And there are even different types of nonprofits that you can set up, right? So the financial literacy piece I'm not saying you need to become an expert, right? I'm not saying that you need to become some sort of financial advisor,
Mhm.
but becoming financially literate is extremely important because it begins with how you set up your business.
Yes.
Are you going to set up an S corp? Now, and I know this our time here isn't necessarily talking about setting up businesses, right? I get it. But the financial literacy piece falls under personal development. Okay. And so
Yes.
we do need to growth stack and upskill from a financial literacy perspective. So
Mhm.
going into budgeting, saving, looking at your profit and loss statement, right? Cash flow management, okay? Forecasting and all that sort of stuff is the direction that I would say from an entrepreneur's perspective you should definitely launch into.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Uh, I have some other questions, but right now, Toni, what would you say to that young man or woman who is totally engaged on what you're talking about and they have a made up mind to do whatever it takes to become that? But what you're talking about right now is foreign to them. This is their first time ever hearing this. All they know is what you felt at Burger King. There's a greatness in them and they recognize it. But all this is foreign. So, and right now, hearing it, they might be feeling a little overwhelmed. It's like, oh Lord, there's a lot for me to do. I don't know how to do. What would you say to them to encourage them?
Well, what I would say is launch yourself out there. Okay. Good is better than perfect. Everybody write that down. Good is better than perfect. What I mean by that is a lot of times people feel like their business or launch day has to be perfect. It
Okay.
has to be perfect. It doesn't. Just launch, right? And what I mean by that is, listen, you can set up a DBA. You can go online. Let's just say, for instance, here in Texas, you can go online and set up a DBA that starts the business. Now, granted, that's not an LLC or that's not an S corp, right? So you have to, take your findings to another level when we're talking about going, and establishing a C corp, S corp, and LLC. But for now, right, you have an idea, you want to get it off the table, you want to get it, you want to get out there in the marketplace. All I'm asking you to do is just start. Go to the county clerks in your city and state, get yourself a DBA, which is very simple to do, and get going. Is it
Mhm.
going to be perfect? No, but it's okay. Just accept the fact that I'm getting myself out there and I'm going to take action. Number one, I'm going to analyze my actions. Number two, and then I'm going to make adjustments. But the
Mhm.
key to this entire puzzle is to take action.
Mhm.
Action cures fear. I think I said this before to you,
Yeah.
to your audience. Action cures fear. Just get going.
Yes. That's real good, guys. Um, we know that great leadership or becoming your own boss is a solid vow to be above average. It's about setting agenda and not just reacting to them, but identifying your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and maximize them. Give us your insight on that as far as being your own boss, maximizing those things, identifying those things.
Well, when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, that's where your SWOT analysis comes in at, right?
Mm.
That's SWOT. Conducting a SWOT analysis where you look at your strengths, you look at your weaknesses, you look at opportunities you have, and then you look at the threats to your opportunities. Okay.
Mm.
This allows you to evaluate your internal strengths and weaknesses, right? And you identify external opportunities and threats, enabling you to make informed decisions. So I want everybody to write that down. SWOT analysis, go look it up. It's a very, very common tool that businesses and people use,
Mm.
right? So when you start looking at your strengths, you want to take a look at what positive attributes and characteristics you have that gives your business an advantage. Your strengths could be skills,
Mhm.
right? Take a look at your skills. What skills have you acquired? The resources you have, any different points of differentiation you have in your business. All right. And then when you look at your weaknesses, these are also internal factors, right? But they represent areas that you can improve or areas that you need to outsource,
Mm,
areas that you need to hire in, right?
mm,
So it could be, or even software, right? It could be outdated technology. Let's say for me, right, as a marketer, I'm more of a chief marketing officer. I handled more of the strategic part of growing a company. I don't
mm,
do the heavy lifting as it relates to running Facebook campaigns, Google AdWords campaigns, and search engine optimization. But
mm.
I hire that out. I outsource that out, right? It's not necessarily a weakness of mine, but that's just not where my hands, I shouldn't have my hands in that sort of, or that piece of the puzzle as it relates to growth and leadership, right?
Got
And then opportunities, okay? These are more so external factors or situations in the environment. What some of the, how can you leverage certain opportunities in the marketplace? Does that make sense, Rosalind?
Yes. Yes,
And
absolutely.
then
Sure
any
does.
sort of threats, right? That could be a competitor. A competitor could be a threat. Long story short, you want to do a SWOT analysis. That's SWOT. And you want to use that SWOT analysis as an opportunity to grow, as we're talking about personal development, and get better.
Hmm. Wow, that is really good. On identifying your strength and weaknesses, opportunities, and all of those. And you're
And threat.
saying that the SWOT, the SWOT, they can access that, and it help them out
Yes.
identifying those things. That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
that's great. So, while you were just talking, you pretty much answered it. Um, I wanted to ask where you are today. Did you get there by yourself, or did you also use people that were um, skilled or had a higher knowledge in an area than yourself, and you needed their expertise? You needed their expertise.
Absolutely.
So who I'm not saying name, but what type of people were these? You know?
Absolutely. So the short answer to your question is yes, right?
Okay.
I
Okay.
always surround myself around people who are smarter than me. I always surround myself. I'm never threatened by people that are smarter than me, right?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
always surround myself around people that can deposit into me as it relates
Mm,
to my personal growth and then even my business growth. Okay. So I hire people with skill sets that either number one, I don't have at all, or number
mhm,
two, like I said, in areas where my hands shouldn't be, certain things that me as a chief marketing officer, I shouldn't be doing. Okay.
mm,
So, yes, I bring in that skill set in order to fulfill that role as it relates to us, my company 365 growth, helping other companies grow to the next level. So
mm,
absolutely, right? You always want to surround yourself around people who are smarter than you in more than one way, right? And
okay.
then even if you can, for instance, I can do some web design. I'm not a web design connoisseur, but I'm not going in on websites and designing them. No, that's not where my hands should be. Okay.
Mm,
But I hire
mm,
people. I hire the experts to come in and do web design. I hire the experts to come in and run Facebook ads and run Google ads and LinkedIn and TikTok, right?
mhm,
But what I am good at as it relates to this, particular piece of the conversation is I know who to hire. I can determine if someone is an expert or not, right? I
mhm,
can determine if someone has a skill set. And guess how I'm able to do that? Because
mm,
I used to do that. I used to run Facebook ads myself. I used to run Google
okay.
ads myself. I used to run LinkedIn. I can do all that stuff myself. But guess what? That's not where my hands should be. So yes, I hire in order to fulfill those roles.
Okay. That's great. I like when you mentioned you pay attention to the people that you're around, and
That's right.
that they can actually pour in something to you. So, would you agree that if the person, if they're the sharpest one in their circle, they're in the wrong circle?
They're in the wrong circle. They're in the wrong circle. You
If
know,
they're the sharpest person there,
that's right.
that's the wrong circle.
That's the wrong circle. Now,
All
I'm not
right.
saying that there isn't a place for you
Yes.
to be in an environment where you are the smartest person in the room. But for the most part, when you're talking about personal development and
There
when you're
you go.
talking about business growth, you
There you go.
absolutely must be in some sort of mastermind, right? I'm in several mastermind groups, and these guys are whizzes. And,
Wow.
I sit there and I just soak it all in, Ross.
Mm-hmm. 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 I know it. I know it. I can tell, Tony. So, becoming your own boss comes by changing your approach, always keeping in mind that there's nothing permanent in life. So, even if we fail in our first business, we're not to give up. So, give us an experience on how important it is not to stop. Give us an experience on how important it is not to stop.
Well, so let me say this. When you're talking about failure, you
Mhm.
absolutely must change your perspective and you must change your definition of failure. Okay.
That's
You,
good. That's
at this
good.
point, you know, when you're talking about becoming a successful entrepreneur, Webster's dictionary's version of failure probably isn't what you should should live by, right? You need to, and you probably shouldn't go and Google and type in what is a failure either, because that's probably not the definition that you want to live by as it relates to your entrepreneurship journey. You need
Yes.
to define what failure is, okay? And so,
Mm,
if, and once you change the definition, then you want to embrace what failure is. And let me say,
mhm.
I've had to do that on multiple occasions throughout my career. And one of the ways I've had to do that is even in 2008 during the housing crisis, uh,
Mhm.
when I had to sell all my homes. I actually owned 11 homes at the time, and I had to get out all of them. Well, at least I thought I did, right? Because
Right.
I didn't have the mentorship. I'm still young and very, very motivated, and I think I have it all together, but technically I didn't, right? And so I ended up making the mistake of selling all of my homes, and I shouldn't. I should have sat on them. I should have. Matter of fact, I should own them now. I look at
Wow.
those homes, and unfortunately, I just didn't have the mastermind group right to go to and say, "Hey guys, here's what I have, and here's what's going on, and I need your guidance." I
Yes.
didn't have it at the time, and so I made a mistake and sold all my homes. And so, but guess what? It's a great time to buy a house, a couple of years ago, right?
Mhm.
So you jump
Yep.
back in, you use that as ammunition, you use that as a way to get yourself back going. You take a look
That's
at your
good.
mistakes, you take a look at what the world calls failures, and you build on top of that, right? Why? Because I've redefined my definition of failure.
Yes.
Sometimes you
Yes.
don't make a bad decision, you make an uninformed decision,
There you
right?
go.
It's
There
not
you
bad,
go.
it's just
There
uninformed.
you
And
That's
so you
good.
use that uninformed decision as an opportunity to grow and get better.
Okay. So everybody's definition of failure, will it be different?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I felt like they needed to hear that one. Uh,
Absolutely. My definition
yeah.
of failure, Rosalind, will not be your definition of failure. Why?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
so many different reasons. There are so
Yeah.
many variables that contribute to the word failure, right?
Mhm.
And those variables
Exactly.
are very different for each of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Very different.
Exactly.
Very
No
different.
doubt. No
Right?
doubt.
And it's
No
something as
doubt.
simple as if you own a knitting business and I own a painting company, how can we determine what failure is, or how can I define what failure is for you, and how can you define failure is for me? You own a knitting business. I own a
Yes.
painting company. It's
Yes.
just different.
Yes. 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 You're right. That it's not going to be the same. No
It's
way.
not
No way
gonna
that
be
it
the
can.
same. And
So
even
I
from a personal development perspective, Rosalind, your journey of personal
Mhm.
development is very different than mine.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't
Absolutely.
compare my journey to you. You can't compare your journey to me. We're different.
Mhm. Guys, I hope y'all are listening to that because I know that it matters. It matters to a lot of us who are
Yes. Yes.
comparing ourselves to, other companies, other people, other marketing strategies, all of that, so that information is very, very, very good. It really is. I'm making my own notes. I hope you're making yours. So here this is really, profound right here, I believe, Toni. Do you feel that to be a great leader or become your own boss, you must be born a leader or born into a wealthy family?
Well, all right. That's a good question. Let me say
Hmm.
this. All right. I want to be clear about something real quickly. Your Elon Musk's and the Waltons, and then even your Trumps. Some of the some of a lot of our billionaires
Hmm.
were giving massive loans by their parents, their fathers, their cousins, and whomever else. Okay,
Hmm.
I would
Hmm.
and sometimes that looks discouraging. Oh, I need to be born into a wealthy family. Oh, I need to have X number of dollars, and I had to have this type of support. But let me tell
Hmm.
you, there's quite a few grassroots successful entrepreneurs. And
Okay.
let me tell you, yeah, it takes a different sort of type of resilience. It takes a different type of adaptability to get there. But let me tell you, you can get there. I want to give you a statistic real quickly. About
Okay.
54%, and I could be off by just a little, but I know it's over 50%. So let me
Okay.
stick with that. Over 50% of the US economy is run by small businesses. Over
Hmm.
50% of the US economy, okay, is
Hmm.
run by small businesses. What does that tell you?
Mm. Wow.
If over 50%, think about
50%.
it like this. Think about it like this, Rosalind, okay? You drive down the street and all you see is small businesses, from restaurants to spas to hair salons. Think about it. You walk outside your door, you're going to see more small businesses than Fortune 500 companies, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Those small businesses are running your local economy, meaning
Wow.
not necessarily literally, but they're injecting money into your local economy.
Yes.
Those small businesses, all those small businesses you see whenever you walk out your front door, you get in your car and you're driving in your local neighborhoods and you're driving in your local city, you're going to see a ton of small businesses. Those
Mm.
small businesses are the ones that are injecting money into your local economy, and they're not Fortune 500 companies. And these folks are successful, and they
That's
didn't get $1 million from mama and papa.
that's good. That's good.
They
That's
did
good.
not.
That's good. Do
So
you believe that that has a lot to do with the service? There has to be a reciprocity. I mean, a give and take thing here. Do you think that has a lot to do with the particular type of service that they're putting into the community that makes them so successful?
so essentially what you're asking me is, so let's say, for instance, I'm out here in the Dallas, Texas, McKinney area, right?
Mhm.
And let's say um, it's up and coming city, it's burgeoning, but we don't have a Lifetime Fitness or a gym. Not even, just scratch Lifetime Fitness, a gym. Yeah. So if we're in a burgeoning local economy, and that local economy needs a gym, then absolutely a gym owner comes and plant himself a gym into this local economy. Why? It's burgeoning, it's new, it's up and coming, it's growing. How do you know
Mhm.
it's growing? Because the number of houses being built in the area, the number of chains that are coming into the local economy, that's an
Mhm.
indication that that area is growing. So yeah, you
Okay.
might say, you know what, there isn't a local gym, or oh, that city needs a hair salon, or
Okay.
that city needs a massage parlor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yes.
We have a question on our Unruffled Ladies in the comments here. It says businesses have mission statements. How crucial is it for you to have a personal mission statement? Like the one like me, or the ones that are out there. So how
It,
crucial is it for you to have a personal mission statement?
so let me say this. It's very crucial, but from a different perspective. See, a lot of people look at these mission statements almost from a corporate perspective.
Okay.
Nowadays, your mission statement should be more of a positioning story, your positioning story. People
Mm,
now are buying into stories. People
mm,
now want to connect with a story. Okay. So your mission statement shouldn't be some wordy, you know, uh, 2 sentence or 3 sentence paragraph that folks can't even really understand, right?
okay.
It's
Okay.
more so your positioning story in 2023. Okay. Your
Okay.
mission should be more of your positioning story. How did you start? Who are you? What are your core beliefs and why? Right? So
Mm,
people are more so buying into a positioning story because that's what sets you apart nowadays. You know,
okay.
you got so much competition out there in the marketplace. I mean, every business almost has a ton of competition. How do you set yourself apart? Through your
Mm-hmm.
positioning story. Who are you? How did you get started? Why did you start? You know, for instance, I just worked with one of my clients to to establish their positioning story. And just let me give you a quick example, Rosalind.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And to the person who asked the question. All right. I worked with a client to come up with their positioning story recently. Well, this is a SaaS, a B2B SaaS. It's a software company, right? They created what we call as a workflow management software, right? So you think
Okay.
it's technology. How, we created this piece of technology that photographers can use in order to manage their photography business. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of positioning story can we come up with? Here's what I did. I asked them a gazillion questions about who they were. Well, guess what? This particular company was started by a husband and a wife who had no technology experience, who started their business from literal scratch. And
Mm-hmm.
they started from a grassroots financial perspective. They didn't have any money. They literally raised the money out of their own jobs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They raised the money. Just cousins and aunts, and hey, we're starting this software company, and they just used a very grassroots approach, and they didn't have a ton of money when they started. So you got a husband and wife who started a technology company with no background, right, in technology, and then they used a grassroots approach to come up with the money. Well, guess what? We created a positioning story that was a part of their mission statement, and
Mm,
people gravitates to that. Why? Because the bulk of entrepreneurs in this world can relate to that. They can relate to the fact that mom and dad couldn't give me $1 million to start my company.
mm-hmm.
Many people can relate, especially photographers, or
Yeah.
what we consider as self-employed people, right? They
Mm-hmm.
resonate, and their positioning story has been huge. Their mission statement, like so many people, loves it.
Okay. So that's called positioning statement.
Yeah, it's your positioning story,
Positioning
or
story.
or you
Okay.
can or you can use it as your positioning statement too, is like you said. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. While you were talking, what I was hearing a little bit is um transparency.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Those are things that there are certain things that you have to be transparent about, uh, probably for people to, latch on to your
That's right.
vision, latch on to your idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you're a small business. As a small business owner,
Mm-hmm.
we must tell our story,
Mm-hmm.
because our story, it's what sets us apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
differentiator in the marketplace. It's what people will want to latch on to. Who are you?
Yes.
Why did you start this company? How did you start this company? Why should I listen to you?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now, this might seem like our time has been well spent and it's dwindling down for us, but this has been really, really great. You know, I've taken some really good notes. But this might seem like a simple question, but it has a lot of weight to it. Why is it important for one to tap into their entrepreneurship? Why is that so important?
Well, great question. Great question. But let me say this, everybody is not an entrepreneur. Okay. But for the ones that are, it's it's all about fulfilling yourself, fulfilling your mission, fulfilling your vision, fulfilling, tapping into your, what I consider as your soul, right? I feel like entrepreneurship has been in my DNA since I was a little girl. That's all I know is entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And for somebody like me who has been under the umbrella of entrepreneurship all my life, it was just a no-brainer for me, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you know listen, there's someone out there that needs your vision. There's
Yes.
someone out there that needs your mission. Someone out there that needs what you offer to this world. That's what
Mhm.
makes this world so unique. Because
Yeah.
people like you, people like
Yeah.
me, people like Rosalind, the
Yeah.
world needs you. The world needs what you offer. And if that's through a business, everybody that comes through your business will be touched by your positioning story, your mission, your vision, your y- y- everything about you at that
Yeah.
point, right? Because you want to infuse, your who you are and what you offer, throughout the multiple crevices within your business. But it boils down to for being fulfilled within yourself, number one. But number two, the fact that the world needs what you offer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That taps into their personal growth right there,
That's it.
latching on to that and believing it,
That's
that you actually have something to offer. It might not look like somebody else's, might not sound like it, but it's yours.
yes, yes,
And at some point and somewhere in life, it's really, really needed.
very much so.
Toni, this has been really, really great. Let me see if I have any questions from anyone else in our audience. Y'all feel free. We have a little bit more time here to go.
Okay.
Um, and our Facebook Live today audience was becoming your own boss. We
Yes.
were talking about becoming your own boss. That was our topic for today. And it's been awesome up until now. If you missed the beginning, of course, you can go back and look at the video and get some really good information. I know a lot of you, you have some dreams, you have some desires, you have that inner something that tells you, I'm here at Burger King, but I know I'm not supposed to be.
Right.
you
Um,
know,
look, I'm behind this broiler. I see this flaming grill, and I'm doing really well pulling these burgers off the grill, but this
yeah,
seems a little uncomfortable for me.
yes, yes, yes. I'm the best at it. And let me put a little different twist on that, just to give somebody else a different, perspective. You might be a very effective loan officer
That's right.
working in a mortgage, working underneath a mortgage broker. It doesn't have to be, it could be any area, but you're just not, would you say, Toni, they're not in their niche. They're not fulfilling that gift inside of them that's going to take them to places that they never knew that they could go.
That's right.
So it's okay if you recognize sometime that, oh, I've made great leaps and bounds, and I've been in this company long enough for me to have 5 different titles, and I got 100 people under me. All
That's
that's good, you
that's
know.
that's right.
But are you happy?
Are you happy? Are you
Are you
fulfilled?
happy?
Are you fulfilled?
Yes, fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Before we go, let me say two other things, Rosalind. I think we have about five
please
minutes
do.
left. So, all right. So
Yeah.
let me say two other things. Wherever you are in your life as it relates to your job or as it relates to your business, realize, especially if you're on a 9 to 5 job, you're whatever that is, realize that, listen, every job you have should catapult you to the next level. Okay. I see a lot of people in the marketplace. They say, "Oh, I go to work every day and I just clock in and I really don't do much, or um, I'm just there and I'm not really learning. I'm not getting better, but I'm getting paid." Right. Well, in my opinion, that's counterproductive. Okay. So I
Okay.
want to encourage folks to use where you are to catapult you to the next place, even if it is a 9 to 5 job. And even if you are not an entrepreneur, okay, and you enjoy your job, whatever that job is, you should be moving to the next, you should be promoted to the next level, right? You should be
Mhm.
working to get to the next level. That's whether you're on a job or as an entrepreneur. Okay.
Mhm.
And then the second thing I want to encourage everyone is to consistently upskill and growth stack. Okay. I live in mastermind groups, right? I'm always learning. I'm always increasing my skill set at all times. I'm always in different Facebook groups. I'm in Discord groups. I'm in Slack channels. I'm in
Mhm.
LinkedIn groups. I am consistently upskilling and growth stacking. If you really want to become a successful entrepreneur, you've got to spend time continuously learning and continuously growing. Realize you'll never stop growing and you will never stop um, learning new skill sets if you really want to be a successful entrepreneur.
Mhm. That's great, Tony. You answered the question before I could ask it. Ask it, and it was in the mastermind groups and all of the influential people that you've been around and come in contact with. What, as entrepreneurs, what did they all have in common? You kind of just touched on it. What have you noticed that, like you just said, everyone's not an entrepreneur.
No,
Every person is not, an entrepreneur. But those that you've noticed, what is that one thing that they all have in common? And I believe
resilience.
you just, yeah,
It's
yeah,
resilience, Rosalind.
okay.
It's resilience. The ability to
Mhm.
bounce back.
The ability to bounce back.
The ability to bounce back.
That's
Every successful entrepreneurs know that, first of all, and I'm going to use this word in the way that most people use it. Like I told you earlier, we got to redefine. Most entrepreneurs understand that failure is inevitable, meaning you're going to make mistakes. You're going to throw some money out there and it's just not going to work.
okay.
I do it. Listen, I launch marketing campaigns every day. Some work, some don't. The ones that don't work, guess what I do? I take the data. What I call, we data collect. We then
Hmm.
analyze that data and then we make adjustments to the analysis. Okay.
Hmm.
But what sets the most, let me tell you, what sets successful entrepreneurs apart is resilience. You have to
Resilient.
have the ability to bounce back.
That's good.
And that's where most people fail. They don't have the resilience to bounce back. They don't have the endurance to keep going.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
that's good.
See,
That's
most
good.
people think it's some magical
Yeah,
secret out there.
yeah.
It's not.
You just get back. You just keep going.
You got to get up and keep going.
You got to keep going. That's
Yes.
good.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
that sounds so simple, um, but that's what one needs to hear in order to recognize you didn't fail in your goals, your vision, or your business. It was one thing or two things you did that didn't work, and
That's,
you stopped.
that's right.
You stopped. That's why you couldn't see, the greater picture and see the success that it could have made. You just simply stopped.
You simply stop.
No resilience. No resilience. That's very important, guys. Our time is just about up. Thank everybody for joining in today. We apologize again for the technical difficulties that we've had. Normally, our founder is here with us, Lady Jeana, and the Verlicia, Pastor V. They're right in here honing in and putting in their expertise and what triggers their mind to ask the certain questions. But they'll be back.
Yes.
They'll be back.
Yes.
We're gonna work on it. They're in the background. This is not being pulled off, just with what you see here. They're in the background doing what needs to be done. Okay.
Yes.
So absolutely. We'll
Thank
have
you
all
for
of us back
having
on
me,
board.
Rosalind. I just
No,
want to
thank you, Toni.
I just want to tell you, I appreciate you today. It's been fun. I love talking about entrepreneurship. Thank you, Dr. Jeana, for inviting me. That's another, this was just another opportunity for me to share, my story, right? And so I
Exactly.
want to thank each of you and Sister Felicia as well for her hard work in the background. I want to thank her.
Absolutely. Toni, real quick before we get off the line, is there anything you want to share with the people as far as any type of contact information, or if there's a site they can go on if they'd like to, tap in and get any other type of information?
Yeah, absolutely. You can actually, if anybody is interested, I'm always interested in helping other entrepreneurs and answering questions and making myself available. So you are more than welcome to email me on my personal email address. Let's go personal. That way I can kind of separate. So TONIJ Young, Toni J Young @gmail.com is my email address. So you're more than welcome to email me if you have specific questions. And we can go from there.
Absolutely. Now that I have your permission to do so, we'll put it on the reel with this video.
Sure.
Thank you, guys. Y'all make sure and join in to UnRuffled Ladies every second and fourth Sunday. Please put your comments in once you watch the video after this time. If there's a particular topic that you want to talk about or that is kind of touchy and you might not know how to put it out in the open, that's what we do. That's what UnRuffled Ladies do. We bring common-minded women together and just make that platform a little bit easier to get some answers and resolve them. Have a good rest of your day, Toni. We look forward to hearing from you again. Goodbye, everybody. See y'all on fourth Sunday. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.